Hello everybody, Neil here. As promised, I said I would be putting out a video on the Bubble MailerSend integration specifically for password reset forms. So I've got some other videos out. This isn't going to go in depth into the MailerSend platform. I have some other videos on my channel that goes through that. I have a high level one on transactional email with Bubble, and then a two-part series that goes in depth creating your account from scratch, working with the DNS, getting everything set up in MailerSend, and then sending part two, actually sending that and talking about the payload in depth and the variables and parameters and all that to send using the Bubble API connector. So some in-depth stuff there. This is going to be more high level and just very specific to password reset forms. So one may ask, why do I care about this? Well, when you use the Bubble native SMTP relay server, the emails that are being sent from Bubble are very generic. They're ugly. To a bigger point, they land in many times, 95%, maybe even higher, they land in the user's junk mail. Yes, some users know to check their junk mail, but it's just an annoying thing, right? So, the other reason for using MailerSend or Postmark or whatever you want to use, MailChimp, is you get that high deliverable rate of your emails to the user's inbox. So that's the biggest reason, but on the MailerSend side, you can also use templates and make very beautiful looking emails that aren't so generic, right? So when I say generic, this is one that I sent from MakerSocket, my other product. I'm still using the default native mailer program from Bubble to send emails and the password reset. I'm going to implement MailerSend in this very soon, but this is basically what you get, and this did indeed land in my junk mail. So what we want to do is deliver right to the inbox, give us a real high probability rate of that email landing in the inbox and looking very professional and nice. So let's step through it real quick. Let's start on the MailerSend side. Again, not going to go through the details of MailerSend. You can watch my other videos for that, but I essentially have created a template that is specifically for password resets. I'm going to go into manage this template, and then we are going to look at the payload real quick. This is a very simple setup actually on the MailerSend side. The biggest thing that I've kind of designed this to my new product, SuperDesk here, but the biggest thing is this button, right? So if we edit this button, there's a static link that I've constructed here that's always going to be the same. So it's going to be your domain name /reset_PW, then get into your parameters with the question mark reset equals. And then I am passing in a dynamic value. This is the language that MailerSend uses, is these squirrely brackets with a leading $sign and then your basically variable name or parameter name here. And I just called it token because I'm going to be passing a user token here to this from the Bubble API connector. So when the user clicks this reset password, it launches this full link, and then it basically injects the token in from the user that needs their password reset. So let's go look at the Bubble side, how this works. So essentially, I have a workflow set up. I designed a little password reset form here with this input and this button. And when you edit this button, let's go step through this real quick. The very first step here is we're going to do the traditional send a password reset email. That's just an action in your account right here, send password reset email. But instead of actually sending the email, we're going to tick this box here. Just make token, don't send email. And that's what we want to do. So when this action runs, it's going to generate a token for that user. And what it's doing is basically when you type in this email address, and you hit that button, it's going to go look for this user in the database. So you do have to have a user account to reset your password, right? It's going to go look for that user, and it's going to generate a token for that user. And that token expires in 24 hours. So it's good for 24 hours, then it expires, and the user will have to do another one if they didn't reset their password. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call the MailerSend API call, right? And let's go look at that API call real quick. So in Bubble, I've created this MailerSend here. And again, not going to go through all the setup here. I've got that in my other video. Go watch that video if you want to see how to get all this set up. Going to call this endpoint here, send password reset email, and here's the body that I'm passing in. Here's the payload that I'm sending. So if we go back to MailerSend and we go back here, and I step through this in my other videos, here down here below on this template, here's the payload that I took right here. Right, I copied and pasted all this, but I don't need to send, like I don't need this key value pair here, the from. You don't need certain things if you have some defaults set on the template. Like it'll just use these defaults instead of you having to send them in the payload. So it makes the payload a little bit lighter. As you can see, I took out the from here. So what I did here is I got my payload set up, and then I've got these dynamic values. Bubble tells us to use these little arrows here, brackets, to pass in dynamic values. So I'm going to pass in the email address from the sign-up form. So from this input, passing it in right here, this is how MailerSend does it. So you just got to set it up like this. And then here's kind of a parameter that I'm going to pass for the token, right? So here's the dynamic value that I'm going to pass into this field from the workflow. So the user clicks the button. It's going to say, all right, I'm going to send an email, and then we're going to say, no, you're not. We're just going to create a token. And then step 2 is we're going to call that API call, right? So I've got that set up. So plugins, MailerSend, password reset, email. That's that right there. We're going to pass in the email address from that input form. So from this input right here. And then we're going to do result of step 1 to grab the token. We created the token here in step 1. Getting the result of step 1, which is the result is the token that it created, and we're going to pass it in right here. And then I'm just showing a toast alert. This is a new plugin that I've been working on with my buddy in their studio. Awesome plugin. You guys should go get this. I think it's like 29 bucks or something like that one time, or $4 a month. I don't know. I just paid the 29 bucks. And I'll use it in all my projects because it's real nice, and you'll get to see it here pretty soon. And then I just hide and show groups just to kind of redirect back to the login form. I'm going to change this to some URL parameters probably. So that's kind of it. That's the workflow, right? And then it's going to send that payload on to MailerSend, and then MailerSend's going to send that email, and they're going to be responsible for delivering that email. Again, I go through some of these other settings, how to set this all up in my other videos, so you can go watch there. But let's go ahead and test this. Let's refresh here. Forgot password. Pretend I need to reset my password. .com. Send a password reset. It's going to fire off that workflow. Here's the little toast pop-up thing here to let you know it got sent. I'm going to pull up my email client, and then it should be coming through here in a second. This is the native one. Here is the one that came from MailerSend, and as you can see, very nice form here. We're going to click on this button. You can actually see when I hover over right there, you can see where it threw that token inside there. We're going to click on that, and then there you go. You can reset your password. See that there? That's where that token got passed in right there for that user. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I hope that helps you guys. If you have any questions, just ping me on Twitter. Yeah, if you have any more questions on MailerSend, you can watch some other videos. Appreciate you guys.